Hey everyone, welcome to another video in the Master Data Management in SQL series. My name is Elric. This is video number 8. This will be technically the second set of videos that I release. We're going to count the first 7 as day 1 because I want to explain some things to you about what I mean when I say spiral development. Because there's a pattern in our development process. So, in video 1, we created databases. In video 2, files. Video 3, we created data points. We defined data points, so we touched the DataPoint type subject, which you will see today, which is our current video, DataPoint types, but I want to take the time to show you guys this. Then we created our first shape in 4. And then automated a process in 5. In 6, we filled our database table. In 7, we filled our data set table. And if you remember during that, I called and referred to data sets as files or views. In this one, data points, where you have to fill those DataPoint tables. So we're going in a spiral because the code that we created in the first videos, they're not production worthy code. We have scripts in there. We have alter scripts. But in order to automate those, to make those data driven, we need the infrastructure present. And that is what this first cycle of videos is. We're going to spiral out, and then we're going to hit a point where we stop coming to these subjects and we have more subjects that we can include in our system, to the point where our system is done and now we're just importing data. So what I'm going to do is work on the data point section today. So you can follow along if you'd like, or just watch. Either or. We're gonna have some fun. This is my DataPoint class table. I have given classes to data points, columns, elements, attributes for XML or JSON. This is what I have. I have flags, strings, integer, numerics, but more particularly I want you to look at system keys and the abbreviation sys, which is what our foreign and primary keys start with. These are system generated. Even though they are integers, they are really unique. So we classify them separately. And the last one is a design choice. And I recommend you adopt the same design choice. When data's coming in, you have a choice. You can have your procedure fail because you don't know what type it is. You can ignore it and you're losing data. Or you can create something to capture it anyways. And that is where we have the unassigned. So it's meant for us to, if we cannot classify it, we're going to have an unassigned type all the way down. So next is my DataPoint family. Now my DataPoint family, even though it may look like we are breaking normalization, I also want you to think of more than just a table in normalization. I agree with 99.9% of 1 through domain key normal form. It makes perfect sense. The relationships are there, everything makes sense, but the sole purpose is to remove anomalies, to avoid anomalies. And that's what we are doing here through an abstracted pattern. This is our cleanse to flag under a different class. It is a different record. These are not repeating. Same with our system key, cleanse to system key, the primary key. Same with the standards. Standard flag, standard string, standard integer, numeric. You know, these are not breaking normalization. And I think if you focus on duplicates, then it's gonna it's going to kind of fog your mind, and you won't see the patterns that I'm trying to show you in this series. Another thing is that I can pick this whole data set up, put it back in under a different tenant. Maybe a customer wants to classify these differently. We will look at the uniqueness of a record based on who owns it and what it's classified as. We will not have the same thing, the same class, the same tenant, and the same name in our tables. That is our not composite key, not surrogate key. That is our rule. Because you do not have to follow this rule, you can choose a different path. The system is very flexible. Finally, our data point type. Now, our data point type is what we did in episode 3 or video 3. I gave them key names of what SQL calls domain names, but I have the word domain reserved for something else. And essentially, all these are our UDTs, one row for each UDT plus one extra for unassigned. And they belong to different families, like the availability family, our active and valid archive flags, our spoke would be our display planned other security. I believe I gave our implied class for our foreign key implied or implied family. But you can pause the video and look at these guys if you'd like. So our next set is the last video we did. We got our data sets, and now we need to put data points in here. So we need to fill our data point table because it's empty. And that is what I'm going to do right now. So you are welcome to follow along or just watch, because I'm ready to go. So when we work with execute SQL, we want to keep our things small. We want to keep our strings small. We also don't want to create a ton of types, table types, to pass back and forth to execute SQL. So I'm going to start with the data set ID, the tables, the views, that sort, and not loop through or iterate through databases. I'm going to keep it down. I'm going to keep it focused. Every data set's going to return me some objects. I don't know if I will need this, but just in case. I do know I will need the database versions. Oh, let me turn that down. And I do know I will need the data point versions. I know I'm going to need data point type for the ID that we have to continually look up, and for one where we cannot find what we are looking for. I'm going to need data point type fetch base. I'm going to need a base, a parameter, and an execute. So we can go to information schema, pull the right columns, or the right data points. And I'm going to need 2 JSON objects. because that's how we're going to avoid creating table types and passing it to execute SQL. So first things first, I need some code. See, I already have DataPoint Finder, so I need some code to loop through data sets, and I believe we can use the dataset finder. So I just want to grab the database cursor. Dataset cursor. I'll use it. Yeah, I'll grab it. And then we're just going to get rid of all the insides. We need the name and the database ID. From, I should be working in interface main, from our dataset table. So from here, need the database name, and then I will be able to use, grab, and then pull back the columns. Okay. So that is it for my outside cursor. So for my base script, I'm going to select this JSON variable equals select column name, ordinal position, and domain name from from the database that we want, where our object will be stored, information schema columns, where table name equals the dataset name. And to convert this into JSON that I want to use, we're going to do for JSON path root will be just dataset. Actually, we'll say data points or data point, and then include null values, so we're not missing pieces of our JSON. We always have three things coming back, whatever you want to call them. So our parameter will be simple. We are just going to essentially pass some JSON in. Pass a variable in. We just want to get the JSON out. So that is our query. And with the database ID and the database name, let me close this and scroll down. We can replace SQL script base. Database name, database name, data set name, data set name. Execute SQL. Execute parameter, and then our output. So I'm going to run this with a print so you can see what is being returned. So we have a data point array, and then we have individual column groups. We have the name, domain, ordinal, name, name, ordinal, domain. It just keeps going for each table. So this helps keep everything very small. So we can deal with finite objects. I guess everything is finite. So after we get our data point back, our JSON back, I actually need to declare add JSON key, declare add JSON value. And then I need to declare 3 more guys. Data point. So we have the column name, the ordinal position, and the type key name. It's from earlier, DataPoint Type Table. The key name of the type represents our domain name. Oh, already did that. Excellent. Excellent. So, we're going to declare another cursor. We will need the key and the value from OpenJSON. And the path and that's going to give us back 1 column per row in our cursor. Just getting the rest of this guy set up. And I'll get my fetch next in there. So now we have to, let's just do top one. So you could see this next part. This is what we're going to get back. We have taken the array, opened it up, and now we have this. So this is my way of taking this information. It is purely for readability. If you want to use with, feel free to use with. If you want to use a cross apply, I'm not really going to use joins. So that is completely up to you. I like to, I'll need my data point name. I need the sequences next. And what's the last one? Domain. DataPoint type key name. This is how I like writing something this simple. We will get to very complicated versions of this. I'm going to collapse this down a little bit. Control R and actually copy this. I'll paste it somewhere so I can get a column select, cut and paste. There we go. Now I like how this reads. Pretty simple. You just kind of come in here and say, oh, it's just opening JSON, pulling 3 values. How this works, and because this these variables are used inside of a cursor, we want to null them out. So none of our values carry over. And how this is going to work is it's going to open the first record and it's going to say, oh, it's column name. Okay, I'm going to assign it to you. And these ones are going to fire, nope, you're still null, you're still null. And when the next time it's order null position, this one will say, oh no, just leave it what it was. So it just kind of goes down the line like that. And like I said, you can use with, that is okay. I like this way. I'm gonna go to my table finder again, and I'm just gonna pull this. And I need this in 2 places. Where sysref type ID. Does it matter? No. But this one does. Where our database ID Alright, I'll need to go one more deep. Database class is SQL, family is local, and I do not care about type. Like I said, I recorded videos. Our next video will be about synonyms. Well, the very near future. We have to create a relationship shape first. essentially, without a function, I just have to say give me all the databases that are local, and only pull the data sets that are local. Our files won't be local, so this is okay. And our external files will not be local either. So, all right, and one more. Under initialize, we want to get the unassigned data point type on the outside. Go back and copy the class family type. Actually, I don't need to select. Database will be data point. Assigned. Unassigned. So yeah, we don't want to do this in the cursor. We just want to get an unassigned type, and we're just going to check. I'm actually going to grab this DataPoint type chunk again. Come down, back to our nested cursor. Now that we have a DataPoint type key name, we're going to assign our DataPoint Type ID to the value of the key name. We're going to look up the key name. And that will give us our DataPoint Type ID for our hierarchy, our taxonomy. And then also, because I'm using DataPoint Type ID in here, meaning the cursor, I'm going to null it out, so I make sure this is going to either have a value or be null. So if my type ID is still null, I'm going to make my type ID the unassigned version. And now I know I will always have a type ID. So, all we need to do now is get data in there. I'm just going to drag and drop columns. Yo, DB Forge or Redgate, if you guys are listening, give me one of your snippet manager and format tools for the cause, right? We don't have this or this. Do not believe we have this. Nope. Just add that to the cursor. We will have this now. We will have the data point name. We're gonna have a lot of data points. I really don't describe my mandatory data points. They are described by the type. I don't give my data points key names unless they are absolutely necessary. Same with display order. But we do have a sequence. I do not want these cleansable, therefore I have no cleansable ID. Yes active, yes valid, no the rest. And just one more quick thing. If not exists, actually it should be, so we can get used to doing it this way. Select data point ID equals sysref data point ID from db system main.dbo table ref data point where sysref data set equals at data set and name equals name. Same thing, select at data point ID equals null. Get the data point ID. If data point ID is null. Again, insert. Just gonna knock this into 1, 2, 1, 2, end. Oof. Couple hundred lines of code. No problems. So, let's see if it works. Nothing up my sleeve. And we got him. Typed. So sequence there. Absolutely. Awesome. So now that we have our data points in, our data sets and our databases, next video is going to be about the relationship shape, just because, like I was talking about the spiral, the subject's next, we're going to add it to our creation process. Now I remind you, if you run the creation process again, it's going to fail. We have all these alters stuck in a string, and we're not checking the existence of them, we're not doing anything like that. But what we're doing is the speed development. So these are the things I need. I'm going to be inventing this procedure anyways. I don't have other tools. We're going to push this code in. We're going to run it. Like extreme programming, maybe is a better word. Once we have our relationships up, we can go back. We're going to create synonyms on the whole system. That will be back for our database. We're going to create synonyms on all of our database, or on one of our databases, so we're only talking to one database. Then we're going to fix the specific data set number, fix our tables, and then we're going to start linking defaults back to data points. So it's a spiral development, just so we can get to a point where we are all data driven. That is the goal of this series, to show you how we can take something so simple like a create script and how we're going to morph it into this data-driven beast and the patterns that lay within this system. So thank you very much for all the support I've gotten so far. been pretty cool. And share this with your friends. I don't even care about likes and subscribes. I mean, you want to keep up to date, do that. But I'm going on with this regardless. I hope you guys like the journey, because man, there's going to be some crazy stuff coming up soon that I'm not sure most of you guys have ever seen before. So thank you very much for tuning in, and hope you were able to grab something from this video today. My name is Elric, and you have a good one.